Oh, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And today, what I wanted to talk to you about is just basically some fun stuff about coping. We've had some pretty serious subjects come up recently, and also I know that there are a few viewers that probably could do with a bit of a laugh roundabout now. So I thought we would cope with stress. Hi, Autumn. Good to see you and the babies. Um, I just thought we'd spend a bit of time today smiling, and I hope that works with you. I wanted to let you know that I saw a quote and it said, "My coping skills include coffee drinking, as you know, looking up stuff in the internet, and inappropriate humor." Now, in fact, this is actually how I go through life. How many of you relate to that? It's just like, really, when I'm trying to cope, my time spent on the internet increases. When I'm trying to cope, my coffee intake increases. But Jody has taught us that that's good for your liver. And then, yeah, I found that this is definitely me, and I loved it. By the way, talking about weird things, which we weren't, but I'm about to. Um, I decided, I always like to let you know if I find a saving anywhere. And normally I say to you, buy big, buy in bulk, and you will save money. Well, this week, I just want to get the figures up here because it's important. This week, I went to buy prunes because, prunes do, like missionaries, do good work in dark places. And the cheapest way to buy prunes this week was not in bulk. In bulk, they cost about 2.59 for 100 grams, and I found a packet that, um, or rather, a container that. No, I'll do both. A packet where it actually ended up at $2 for 100 grams, and then a container that was 160. So isn't that weird that the bulk price was way more expensive than the package? First time I've ever seen that. So therefore, makes me think, yeah, right. Hi, Jeannie. Good to see you as well. For those of you who don't know, by the way, Jody is our admin and looks after us all. And we're very, very grateful because we need it. And Dear Mama Sal is a group of people who get together. It's not just me. And we sort of hold each other's hands as we cope with life in general. And we talk about stuff that's happening to us so other people can hear it's not just about them. All right. And I say that because I think all too often we think we're the only ones having the problem when that's not true. And now, of course, I've managed to close the screen that I want. So we'll go back to this. Duh. Don't I hate it when I do that to myself? All right. So, um, just a heads up reminder. Autumn saying, because I said hello to the babies, she said, sadly, they're not babies anymore. They're growing up. Oh, the twins. So, what I want to just remind you is next, if you're in North America, next weekend is Mother's Day weekend. Now, all you mothers, if you haven't dropped colossal hints by now, make sure you do. Could you please educate your family that buying flowers that die within 3 days is not a good idea? Much better they buy you a plant for your garden or an indoor plant. If they're going to, go the flower root, buy something with roots on it. That's what, and I'm amazed. I had to educate my adopted family. Please don't buy me a bunch of flowers. If you're in the store and you want to buy me something in the store, buy something with roots on it so that I can have it last longer, and preferably, an orchid. They got big roots on them. They last about 3 months. And it is funny. And I said, you're going to spend um, a bigger amount of money in the short term, but it's going to last 3 times as long. So think about that. It's much better bang for your buck. I just wanted to give a heads up. First of all, for those of you who haven't heard, Beth is not well, and she's going in for a whole bank of tests tomorrow, starting tomorrow, I believe. So please, thoughts and prayers for her. Really important. For those of you who didn't hear, on Friday, Jeannie was in an accident. Luckily, she and Misty were not hurt, but obviously they were shaken, not stirred. But, and she's obviously going to have the repercussions of that for the next few weeks. So I think it's really anybody who's ever been hit, even though she was stationary, anybody who's, excuse me, anybody who's been in a car that was hit, will know what that feeling is about. And I was saying on Friday about this, and I just want to go over it because I got people that weren't here on Friday. If ever you're in a traumatic situation like that, all right, the most important thing you can do is recognize that you've been through a frightening experience, all right? It's very important to know that that's not normal, and your body doesn't take it as normal either. And your body takes it almost like an invasion of it, right? It really does react. And I've noticed time and time again, my body reacts sometimes faster than my mind does. So be careful of yourself. Try not to get angry and frustrated with yourself if you can't do things as fast as you normally do because your mind has been disrupted. Don't overuse anything, in the way of alcohol or drugs if you're into that sort of thing. Don't make any major decisions while you're recovering from that sort of trauma. Don't bottle up your feelings. Make sure you talk to somebody. A good friend is good. If you've got a safe one that's halfway intelligent and can hear you out, and make sure they keep asking you and get them to encourage to get a lot out of you because one trauma will trigger other ones, right? Try and live as normal a life as possible, but as I said, be patient with yourself. That's really important. When you feel exhausted, make sure you rest. Really, very, very, your body needs to settle down. Relax. If you know how to do yoga, do it. If you know how to meditate, do it. Very important. You will get all sorts of feelings coming up. Make sure you either talk about them with somebody or document them. Not that they are right or wrong. Just be aware what they are. And as I said, just be aware that the one memory, of the trauma will trigger other traumas. And so you're going to get them come back. So be careful, everybody, if that happens to you. All right. Please remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter because that's where we update people on things. And just know that any observations I have are my own. I'm not, some sort of therapist or doctor or anything. I think some of you knew that I went to go and have dinner with my friend Yvonne and Wade last night. And I just want to acknowledge those people who are watching in the background. Hello, people. Feel free to pop in and say hello, and you can go back into the woodwork again. But we always love it when you're there. And, we had a couple of people come in on Friday while we were cooking. By the way, for those of you who don't know, we did two versions of mac and cheese. One was, the old-fashioned, really old-fashioned, start from scratch version. Not out of a packet or anything. It was just like completely from scratch. And then the second one I did was with basically healthy stuff. And I was amazed at how tasty it was. And what I did, I thought I'd update those of you who saw me do it. I had 1 cup of the not so good for you mac and cheese and thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I thought, something? That other one I made is pretty healthy. So I'm going to have a second helping, but it's going to be of the healthier one. And, it just tasted great. I was so surprised. It was just like, okay, these things can happen. Every time you are able to find humor in a difficult situation, you win. How many of you do that for yourself? When you know that you're stressed out or bummed out or whatever it is, you're sick or whatever, that you go out of your way to find a movie or a show or whatever to make sure that you laugh. Oh, okay. Jeannie's updating us. She's saying my parked car outside the bank was struck on the left back side. Misty was in her crate at the back seat. We are okay, but the truck hit my car hard. People saw it, and they have cameras that recorded it. Yes, you're so lucky to have that. All right, that you were in a parking lot that had a camera. And so well done. But same thing, all the things I said about you, also understand, that Misty will go through that trauma as well. So how many of you do that? How many of you make sure that if you've been in a stressful situation, that you increase the amount of laughter in your life? And maybe that's just looking at how stupid you are, which is my case, or that you do find funny shows to watch or find people to interact with. I found having a meal with Yvonne and Wade was wonderful. I laughed a lot. However, right in the middle of the meal, I got one of these coughing attacks. I have an allergy to the blood pressure medication I'm on, and every now and then I choke. It's very pleasant. And you're wondering, why haven't they taken you off it, Sal? Well, because they're waiting to get the other meds that I have to take. And so in the meantime, I choke 3 or 4 times a day. And I did it in the middle of the restaurant, which was very embarrassing for me. Um, so, yeah, such is life. Have you ever been in this situation? It says, I can't decide whether I need a hug, an extra large coffee, 6 shots of vodka, or 2 weeks of sleep. I have to say that following my trauma, what I have been doing is intentionally making sure that I get extra sleep. And the way that I'm getting it is I am curling up on the couch and I put something on that I know sends me to sleep on the television. And so I'm getting another 2 to 3 extra hours in the evening while I'm pretending to watch television with my eyes closed. Do any of you relate to that one? Um, so and then I get my normal sleep, so that really is working for me, and I because of that my mood is better. For any of you who've ever been to a shrink, I love this. It said, I used to have superpowers, but the psychiatrist took those away. Anybody who's ever had bipolar, you will know exactly what they're talking about. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that she takes an afternoon nap. Yeah. Not everybody can, of course. If you're working, it's not possible. So, think about that. Um, how many of you spend more time stressing about the things that could have happened rather than the thing that did? And I say that because I used to do that a lot. I used to awfulize things, make them more awful than they were. And so if you've got a friend who's awfulizing, saying, yes, but I could have died, but you didn't, be grateful. Um, and when I'm talking to sick people, I always try and remember that the chances are that I could predecease them. All right, because none of us knows when we're going to pass. Because what happens is when you get very sick, you always think, well, what if I die? And I'm going, none of us knows if we're going to be around tomorrow. So let's just try and live each day the best we can and be grateful for each day that we can. Jody, this one made me think of you. Are you ready? I made a huge to-do list for today. I just can't figure out who's going to do it. I had one of those frustrating things happen to me today. I noticed on Amazon that something that I have ordered apparently was delivered a week ago. Now, you know me, I've been down to the post box 3 times this week. It's a lot more than I normally do. Plus, I've had stuff delivered on my deck and I haven't found the thing that they said they delivered. So I, got hold of them. And I must admit they're really good about crediting you in a heartbeat. And I said to them, as usual, because it's happened to me, if I should find it, if they hid it somewhere and I find it, I will let you know so you can reverse that credit. Jeannie's saying that her husband York took her out for breakfast on Saturday. After our meal, the hostess came by and said some folks paid it forward, so your breakfast is paid for in full. We were happily surprised. Isn't that beautiful? And what a nice thing to do for somebody on Mother's Day. If you happen to go out to eat for Mother's Day, maybe pay it forward to somebody else. What a lovely thing for somebody to do. And I'm certain some of you have done that sort of thing. I often, um, if I see somebody behind me in a checkout, um, I will, and if it looks like they're being subsidized, that they've got a problem buying stuff, I will quietly have a look at roughly how much they've got there, and I will put money forward and say, I'd like you to take, $20 off their bill. But do it quietly. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, Jeannie's saying she has paid it forward. You're right, and I love it. I love the feeling you get, don't you? It's such a great feeling to pay it forward. I've done it sometimes where I'm paying for parking, and I just same sort of thing. I always hope that the person is honest enough to do it, mind you. Oh, she was saying she did it for her father with two small kids. By the way, I don't know about you guys, but I carry a gift certificate for a well-known supermarket here. I've got $100 gift card, and I always keep 2 or 3 of them in my purse. Well, no, that's not true. I normally have at least one in my purse, so that anytime I see somebody that really looks like they need food, I'll give them the card, knowing that I haven't given them money, but they can go in and get food. Go easy on yourself. Whatever you do today, let it be enough. And I would say that it's so important to all of us who, have been not well, or, just pushing the envelope a bit, and dealing with whatever stuff we've been dealing with, to remember that it's enough. Life will go on. No, your house isn't perfect. And this one says, slow down. Take some time to clear your mind. The rest can wait. I know that it's very difficult to just deal in the present, isn't it? And I just want you all to know that we worry far too much about the things that aren't going to happen. And about 90% of what we worry about doesn't happen. This one applies to me. I had one that was for Jody. This one has definitely got my name written on it. It says, in my defense, I was left unsupervised. Which reminds me about what happened to me on the way home. The sun came out yesterday, and I'm saying it like that because I want to tell you it was blinding. Enough that, it was like, even when we were in the restaurant, it was blinding. They had to, shut down curtains and things in the restaurant. And the most peculiar thing was that I was driving home and it was still daylight. And I was driving along, and suddenly I must have passed a building or something, and that sun caught my side view mirror, and it was so bright that it was like somebody had put a laser on me. Right? It reflected off my side view mirror and back at me, and it completely distracted me. And I went through a 4-way stop. Now that wakes you up. I don't mind telling you. That wakes you up. And was there somebody crossing it at the time? Yes. They just started to cross it when I went flying through this 4-way stop. And I want to tell you, what can you do except just put your hands up and go, I am so sorry. But, I want to tell you, I gave thanks for a very long time last night. And I was totally in the wrong. And I understand that. I was very lucky not to get hit, because they would have hit me on my side. And also I'm certain I, scared the person who was just, crossing the four-way stop at the time. But, accidents happen. I knew that I did not would not have missed it if that flash hadn't happened. It just totally distracted me enough that I didn't see there was a four-way stop ahead of me. All right, Autumn's saying we're currently in the middle of selling our house and moving. Oh, you have my full sympathy. It's a lot, but I've had to learn to trust that everything is going to work out. I want to tell you something, Autumn. My realtor said to me that they could not believe how calm I was. I practiced an awful lot of emotional intelligence during the whole of that process. And I just knew, if I wasn't meant to have a deal, it would fall through. And six of them did at Autumn. Six deals fell through. I said, okay, I'll accept the money six times, five times. And the peculiar thing was they were really low deals. And the sixth one came in and it was almost close to what had. I had it up at one price and then I pulled it back. The last deal I got, number six, was almost on that amount that I'd pulled it back to. In fact, enough that I said to my realtor, "You telling me they're paying? They want to offer close to full price?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Wow, that was worth waiting for." And so the other thing was that I was busy looking at other properties, and quite honestly, I had to not make bids on properties because I didn't have a deal on my house that was firm. And there were, I think, one that I actually had it subject to the deal going through on my house, and it didn't. So very difficult. So best of luck, Autumn, and let us know how it goes. Jody, I wonder if you could make a note so that we can put up some thoughts and prayers. How many of you relate to this one? Sometimes I wonder if all this is happening because I didn't forward that email to 10 people. Do not forward them, by the way, people. Please do not forward people those sort of things, all right? Why? Because they're actually farming email addresses. And when you forward it to 10 people, they're going to know who it is. So please don't do that. The other thing is, I say this to people all the time. Those incredible quizzes that, that you're meant to fill in so that people can know you better. Do you know what those are about? Those are about somewhere in the middle of all those questions they ask you. What's your favorite color and what was the name of your first dog or whatever. In there are a lot of questions that most people have as their security questions, like the color of your first car, for example, or something like that. And just be aware, don't fill those things in. All right, Autumn's saying our uncle is buying our home in cash. Wow, aren't you lucky? And allowing us to stay here rent-free for a couple of months. And a discounted rent scale after that. Wow, it's going to be helpful for sure. That's so wonderful. We all need uncles like that. I saw this quote and it I don't know, it made me laugh, so hopefully it'll make you laugh. This too shall pass. Mind you, it might pass like a kidney stone, but this too shall pass. And if you've ever passed a kidney stone, you will know why that is funny. Yeah, and Autumn saying, she says, this is just temporary. She says that a lot. Yeah, it's a good way, right? I say a lot to people, think about it, 5 years from now, will this matter? All right. You lost your job or whatever. 5 years from now. I always actually also add 5 years from now, it'll make a lot more sense. Ah, that's fun. Jody's saying, it feels so good to laugh today. Thank you, Sal. Well, I thought about it and I thought, it's been a while since we've done some funny ones. So I thought, the way a lot of us deal with stress. How many of you deal with stress by laughing? that's the way you deal with it. You learn to laugh away your fear. I certainly do. Once I can get my head screwed back on again. But that's how I do it, and I think it's really important. It releases a lot of good stuff in our body, and does a great job. When I finished that first helping, that first cup, you remember it was portion control. I finished that first cup of the mac and cheese, I really started to laugh, and I went, "Oh, wait a minute, I can have a second cup. I'll take it from the healthy one." And it was just like, um, and I did. Yes, Jody is saying humor is so important to our well-being. Uh, I want to tell you, if we spent as much time laughing as we spend worrying, we'd be much healthier. And for those of you who are mothers, as we got Mother's Day coming up next week, it's not like no one in my family appreciates that I stayed up all night overthinking for them. How many of you worry yourself sick about your family and friends? Um, when it really doesn't help them at all, that you worry yourself sick. I look at it and go, we are very lucky that we have that ability to laugh. The other thing is, sometimes it's good just to be numb for a couple of days. It's just like, I know that I've had triggered trauma, when I go numb, and I'm going, it's actually quite a nice place to be. In survival. If any of you've ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. Jeannie says, I have used humor when I felt really down in spirits, right? Can you imagine? I have acted the class clown one year rather than drown in tears. Yes. And I think a lot, if you look at most comedians, Jeannie, most comedians have had a very tragic life in some way. And that's why they became comedians. And most of them will admit that. And that's why the suicide rate amongst comedians is higher than the general population. Some of you will like this one. What doesn't kill you gives you a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms and a really dark sense of humor. Have you ever, now you don't have to answer this unless you want to, but have you ever, had it go through your mind what you'd really like to have happen to that person that upset you? It was just like, and then afterwards you go, oh no, not really. But just for that split second. And quite honestly, I talk to that person inside me every now and then. And I go, okay, what shall we do with them? And then I go, no, I didn't mean it. I think when we can see we've got that person inside us, we're a lot healthier. That's my personal feeling anyway. And it does make me smile to listen to that part every now and then. And so I look at it and go, let's be amused by our level of wickedness, because I think we have it within us. It's a splendid 3 seconds, says Jody, and then I catch myself and return to reality. Yeah, I quite agree. And how many of you know that the goal isn't to get rid of your negative and troubled feelings, right? It is actually just to change your response to them. But boy, I have had some fun dreaming up some very interesting penalties. And yeah, the reason I'm still laughing and I can't carry on is because I can think of one that I wished upon a guy that betrayed me. And when I think about it now, it's not at all who I am, but all for that split second, it was really good. You know, and I hoped that it hurt. Um, and then afterwards, I was quite embarrassed. And this one, I love. It says, "Be strong," I whisper to my coffee. Mm. Ah, this is nice. This is actually quite wise. It says, "Stress is the trash of modern life. We all generate it, but if you don't dispose of it properly, it will pile up and overtake your life." I've been there. All right. When you don't throw out the trash, some of you know that I'm constantly trying to downsize my life, right? And sometimes I do it in the funniest ways. I had a Parmesan cheese container with some Parmesan in it, not much. And I thought, I really must put it in a smaller container. So I went from this container to this one. Nope. But I did it via this one because, first of all, I put it in here, and then I thought, something? It'll go in an even smaller one. And so, how much room does this take up in my fridge versus this? All right. And that's what I'm doing all the time. I have, it's like, okay, what can I decant out of its present container? When you look at how much room some of those things take up in your fridge, it is amazing. And I just, it's my tip for the day is, wherever possible, repackage it into something smaller if you possibly can. Hmm. And I want you to enjoy that process. All right. This week, my goal is to empty all the doors in my fridge. Last week, I emptied everything in the fridge, the back part of it. And now this week, the goal is to take everything out of the doors. Now, actually, it's a very simple thing to do. All you do is you open up your fridge, take everything out and put it on the counter and close the doors for a while. And then sort out what you've got on the counter, see what you can downsize, and any pasta experiments that you happen to have, throw those away. And then the interesting thing is, go back and clean all those little container areas. And I put a little bit of white paper. I've still got unpacking paper. And I use it. I'm using it up in creative ways. And so when I clean something like that, I'll put a little piece, like this, of that white packing paper at the bottom. So if something drips, it's going to drip onto the paper. And the other thing that I was talking to people about, if you find that you've got, a glass shelf and it's got crud stuck in it, the easiest way that I know to deal with it is to take some paper towel, just run it quickly under the tap, get it wet, put it on top of the crud, close the door, and come back in 15 minutes. When you come back in 15 minutes, that crud will just lift straight off. You don't have to scrub or do all sorts of things. It's just amazing how that works. By the way, I heard an interesting thing this week, and that was about using talcum powder to take out fat. If you splash fat onto your clothes, to use talcum powder on it. Have any of you tried that? I tried it today. I'll let you know if it works because what I did is I rubbed the talcum powder in to a stain that had already been through the dryer, but it was an oil stain. So, and now what I've done is I put it back in the wash to see whether that will now take out um, what's left of the residue. And maybe it'll take a couple of times, but I believe it'll work, all right? Hang in there. Whatever it is that is stressing you, just hang in there. It's astonishing how short a time it can take for wonderful things to start happening. Yeah, I was listening. I was actually reading all sorts of things that a talcum powder can do. I didn't know it was good for shining up your sink. Did anybody else know that? I've used flour and water to shine up my sink before now, but what they said is actually a little bit of talcum powder and just rub it in, and squish it around everywhere, and then rinse it, and you'll have an absolutely brand new looking sink. So try that one. If you've got any creaky floorboards, it works really well for that. I've used it for that. Oh, um, if ever you should have washed your hair but you didn't, and you need to go out, how many of you use talcum powder as a dry shampoo? You don't need to use much. All you do is just I've done it where I just put some on my hands and I will just, feed it through my hair. And it's amazing. It'll, then I brush it and it's just like, okay, that took some of it off. Yeah, Jodie's done the dry shampoo trick. Yeah, and it works. I also, um, if you've got sneakers that are not smelling too good, you know, a really cheap way of absorbing the nasty odor in a pair of shoes. So I'm trying to think what else kills ants. I didn't know that. So if you've got an ant problem, put a row of talcum powder where the ants are coming into your home, and they won't come in. So that's good. Problems are not the problem. Coping is the problem. How many of you agree with that one? All right. I can deal with problems. It's just coping with them. All right. This is again for moms. All right. Sure. Sometimes I question my parenting, but to be honest, sometimes I question my child's childing as well. How many of you can remember being quite the little so and so as a kid? I am quite certain that I caused my mother to roll her eyes so many times. And the earliest time that I am aware of, no, actually, I was telling that story at dinner last night. When I was very small, before I was 4, I can't remember whether I was 3 or 2 or whatever it was. But, my parents used to entertain a lot. And in those days, we're talking 75 years ago. In those days, people used to really drink a lot. And so I got really smart. I knew that when they all went outside, that there'd be a lot of glasses left over that had nice things in it. And apparently, they couldn't work out why, whenever they entertained, I seemed to go stupid. And it took them quite a while to realize I was creeping down and emptying glasses. And I was drunk as could be. And, the one that I always have to admit to, if you haven't heard, you probably heard it before, but I am the child that really did jump off the top of the staircase with her umbrella, thinking she could fly. The good news is I didn't break any limbs. And the good news is I still have 2 eyes that work pretty well. And I didn't puncture a lung. How I didn't, I don't know. Maybe I was drunk and I just folded up. But it was just, I was that child. But cute as a button. When they said to me, what did you do? I said, I jumped off the staircase. Why? I wanted to fly. It was just like, why else would you jump off the staircase? It's like, anyway, you're probably not surprised, right? You guys. Here's the next one. The most important thing we learn at school is the fact that the most important things you don't learn at school. How many of let's hear. What did you think? What did you think was the total waste of your time at school? What subject? But like, why do they even teach this? um, I'm certain you all had subjects you were good at and you enjoyed, but which ones did you just roll your eyes at and go, really? I have no idea why they Latin at the time didn't make a whole lot. I did quite well at it, but really, why do I need Latin? And I still wonder. Except I understand it was the root of all sorts of languages, and I'm pretty good. Yeah, Jodie's going math. I always said, why do I need to learn this? I carry a calculator. Algebra. Yes, exactly. Trig. All those things. It's just like, really? Who uses this stuff? you know, it's just like, oh, those people who like to write on blackboards and stuff. And it was just like, I don't need it. And for some of you, it's probably, I don't know, I was at boarding school, right? So we had to do sports. And luckily, I was fairly good at sports. So that was good for me. But, there were some people I know that just didn't understand why we had to do sports because they had no inclination. Gym was another one. We had, forced gym time. And there was something about hanging off the monkey bars. And I'm going, really? Why? So I can look like a monkey? Why are they called monkey bars, people? And they'd have sort of pirate type games, running around on their monkey bars. And it's called, talk about an accident waiting to happen. It was just like insane. I just have memories of doing gym. How about if any of you have done it, jumping over the horse or the box thing? And I kept saying, really? No, not my. I was fairly good at it, but it was just like, really? I don't get it. Now, ask me to go across the roofs of the school at night while nobody was watching. That was a whole different. But ask me to do a fire drill. No, I'm scared of heights. But I could take it. All my. I could be a really bad influence at night. Used to have picnics on top of the roof of the school, and the teachers knew about it too. And when you think about how dangerous that was, but we had fun. I enjoyed it. Having children is like living in a frat house. Nobody sleeps, everything's broken, and there's a lot of throwing up. How many of you remember? Trini's saying she remembers that they used to do square dancing with the boys' school. Wow, that was fun. Okay, how many of you learned how to dance? With using somebody of the same sex. It was fun. Yeah, Autumn lives in a frat house. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Jodie's saying, I wish I'd attended school with you, Sal. It would have been so much fun. It was. It was. And the biggest problem the nuns had with me, Jodie, is that I was equally responsible as I was irresponsible, if you know what I mean. Which is they really wanted me to be head girl of the school, right? But they couldn't because of the antics I got up to. And they came to me and they said, Sal, we need you to know that you have all the qualifications of being, the leader of the school. The leader of anything. You have all the, that natural talent, but we can't give it to you because you use it both ways. You use it to good, but you also use it to cause an awful lot of trouble. And I'm going, They said, so we can't make you head girl. And I said, it's okay. We thought we'd just let you know why we did pick you, but then we all decided maybe that was dangerous. But she said it was so funny when we had to decide on the head girl for this year. It was you, but then we went, but maybe not. They knew it would be lots of fun, no doubt about it. They knew it would be. Oh, why do I cry with laughter? I actually felt sorry for the nuns every now and then. It's just like it couldn't have been easy having me in the school. I can remember. I don't know what I was, 14. Some boyfriend that I had in my real life during non-school time rocked up with a really flashy car, vroom vroom. Yeah, everybody was hanging out of the windows, and a huge teddy bear, and just no problem at all said, I bought this for Sal. And the nuns just didn't know what to do with. Yeah, but they did love me. Or so they said. Uh, I think I was memorable at school. That would be. I'm pretty certain if you had to use one word. I think in America thing, the year. If we didn't have the yearbook thing, but if you have the yearbook, I think. I think they would have said I was memorable for all sorts of different things, mind you. And if anything weird happened, that I don't think they had much conversation. When they heard that somebody had started an all-girls um, rugby club in the school. Rugby isn't a game that women play, but somebody had started a rugby club within the school as a hobby, and apparently they just all looked at each other, and the PE teacher, physical education teacher, went, that would probably be Sal. Yeah, I would put my money on Sal started that, and they found out that I did. Yeah. Or if ever you played field hockey, they got those really ugly shoes that they give you, that you have to wear. And I could outrun, I know it's difficult to believe with my current shape, but I could outrun a lot of people, on a 100-yard dash wearing my hockey boots rather than cleats. But but I also outran a lot of them doing it on my tippy toes. I also took ballet. And I could actually stand on my points in my hockey boots and run, which, which they said was impossible to do, but I proved that's not true. And you will probably not be surprised to hear, I would run having conversations with the person who was close to beating me. I'd be running along and I go, "Oh, you're doing well," and I'd be running along, "Oh, you're here too." You know, the teacher used to come to me and say, "Sal, if you concentrated on getting to the end rather than talking to the people who are with you, you'd win every race." And I went, "Yeah, but it's fun." Yeah, I do like to make things fun. I still do, I think. How about this one? It's what all actors try to do, to just preserve the child inside them because their imagination is quite available. I think partially it is because they're still making sense of the world. They haven't boxed everything up so neatly as most adults have. And the thing is, adults haven't solved the world. They just found a coping mechanism. So to me, I look at it and I go, you all know, right, that I have this incredible part of me that wants to experiment all the time. And I often wonder whether whether I should have been a scientist of some sort, because I'm forever going, I wonder if that would work. And I saw a really nice quote somewhere this week, and if I hadn't already written my own epitaph, what I'd like them to write on my tombstone, except I don't want a tombstone, I saw it and I went, that would apply to me. And it said, I want my very last words to be, well, I guess that doesn't work. And I thought, yeah, I can relate to that. All right. And how about this? Don't take life too seriously, people. You will never get out alive. Um, yeah, I saw a family when we were in the restaurant last night. By the way, nobody's asked me what did I have. Well, of course I had poutine. And for those of you who don't know what poutine is, you have not lived. Poutine is fries covered in, it sounds disgusting, but I want to tell you it's so good. Fries covered in cheese curds and then, really salty gravy on top. Very unhealthy. So good. Life is like homemade ice cream, sweet and seasonal. Enjoy it before it melts. Enjoy your life before it melts. Please. Really important. And I look at it and I go, yeah, somebody obviously has been watching me because the next quote says, some days I amaze myself. Other days I put the keys in the fridge. Does anybody relate? Mm. And, I've had a really good week this week of walking all the way from my bathroom to the living room and then saying, I know I had a reason for being here. And then walking all the way back to the bathroom, look in the mirror and go, all right. And then walk all the way back to the living room again, praying I won't forget by the time I get there. And I believe it's going to get worse. So, I'm just going to keep my sense of humor about that. I always look at it, hey, it's extra steps, Saul. You know, you took the scenic route and it's extra steps. See the positive. Yeah. And this one is Henry Kissinger's quote, and I've always loved repeating it. I know I've quoted it a couple of times, which is, there cannot be a crisis, a successful crisis next week. My schedule is already full. I was trying to imagine what it must be like for Joe Biden at the moment, with the pandemic thing going on still in some ways, right? And then you've got Ukraine going on, and and then I was listening to the Ukrainian president saying we don't need 4 billion in in aid, we need 40 billion, and I'm going, where do they think that money keeps coming from? Right? It's just like, yeah, we actually need $40 billion worth of aid, and I'm going, where do they think 40 billion is coming from? And probably they'll say Fort Knox. And I'm going, yeah, but who pays that 40 billion, right? It's like it's an awful lot of money. It's not chump change, 40 billion, right? Now, I want to tell you that I wouldn't want to be sitting there being bombed out on that steel plant where those people are holed up. But I did hear that today they got more people out. Yesterday they got 20 out, but I hear they're getting quite a few more out today. So let's hope that works. This is for the mothers. Okay, before I married, I had 3 theories about raising children and no children. Now I have 3 children and no theories. How many of you actually became mothers and sat there and went, I should not have been given this responsibility? Because I don't know what I'm doing. And it does strike me that, that in order to drive a car, we have to take a test, both written and practical. And yet we can drop babies all over the place, no problem at all. Just we'll put you in charge of a human life, but car, not so much. No, you could do damage. I'm going, look at the damage we've done with children. Yeah. John Green said, I just give myself permission to suck. I find it hugely liberating. Have any of you ever done that? Where you've tried something and you totally mess it up and you go, well, that was fun, or at least I tried. And I love it when people, say to me, Sal, how did you learn to do X, Y, and Z? It'll be use a chainsaw or some sort of technical stuff. And I go, I tried. Well, did you get it right immediately? No, of course I didn't. How many times did you try before you got it right? I said quite a few. Depends what tool it was. I can remember, I don't know if any of you relate to this. I bought, because it looked cute. I don't mind telling you, the only reason I bought it was because it looked interesting to me. And that is a bandsaw. I think it's called a bandsaw. It has a single blade, like this. And you actually do woodwork with it. Now, why on earth I thought that looked interesting is beyond me. But it was at a very good price, that discount, you see. And I bought it. And I want to tell you, I bought it and it stayed in my garage in front of my car on the workbench for about 3 months. And why? Because it scared the living daylights out of me and I hadn't even plugged it in. And it was just like, that looks like it could take an arm off. And so I had to desensitize myself to it. Did any of you have anything like that where you had to sort of get used to it before you dared turn it on? It was a bit like all the problems I originally had with the air fryer, right? So by the time I got the right one and plugged it in, I was terrified of it because I'd had so many other experiences that didn't work well for me. Now it's getting to be a little old hat, but it's just like, if I turn it on, will all the fire alarms go off? And all those sort of things. So I wonder whether you've had anything that you bought that scared the life out of you and you had to desensitize yourself to it before you could turn it on. Some of you probably, what is it, hot pot? That probably scared some people. What else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think a hot pot probably scared. That's the only one I can think of. I didn't get one because I knew it would scare me. I remember pressure cookers way back when, and I'm going, no, that never struck me as fun. And to know that they made bombs out of pressure cookers, and at the Boston Marathon and things, and you go, why would I want to buy something that that can turn into a bomb? No, I don't think so. All right, here we go. For those of you who are married, if a man is talking in the forest and no woman is there to hear him, is he still wrong? I'm going to repeat that. If a man is talking in the forest and no woman is there to hear him, is he still wrong? Oh, I like that. My I think some of you know me well enough about this one, but I have always learnt to do things because I keep saying it can't be that difficult. Men do it. I cannot tell you how many times people have said to me again, how did you learn to build cupboards or do this? I knew it couldn't be that difficult because men do it. It was just like people go, what? And I said, well, think about it. My only problem is will I get bored in the process, because and how many times have I cut a piece of wood and gone, oh, wait a minute, what have I measured twice and cut once? I'm going, I measured 4 times and I still got it wrong. Oh, yeah. I was really, really good at that stuff. That makes me who I am, right? I often wonder whether the nuns ever, wondered what happened to me. They supported me so well in so many different ways. Um, and they really knew who I was, all right? It was funny. Oh, interesting, Charlotte. Well done, Charlotte. I'm over my 360 days of a minimum of 30 minutes or more active outside as of the 19th of April, and you're still going. That is incredible discipline. What is your greatest experience, Charlotte, in doing that? How did you find it helped you, other than give you thinking time every day? But which would be my guess. But what did you gain from doing that, other than probably lost a lot of weight? And you're running a first race post-pandemic on September the 16th. Well done. Mental, physical stability. Well done. That's awesome. I'm threatening, Jody. I'm threatening to actually um, take the potato tower out this week because I said I'd take the bottom layer off in April, and I have no idea whether we've got a single potato in that whole tower. But there's only one way to find out. And it's not looking too healthy anymore. So I thought maybe I need to take it apart. Now, what I thought is, I think I might take it to my vegetable garden and then just take it apart. And then if there's anything in there, I will show you on the next broadcast. How's that? How many of you relate to this? This one's definitely got my name on it. Memory loss is one way of coping with damage. How many of you broken something and then just went, okay, let me forget about that. It never happened. Hide the evidence. Very important. A selective memory, yes. Um, I assure you, when I went through that four-way stop without stopping, um, I very nearly put that in the back burner and forgot about it. And I went, no, I don't want to forget about that. I have to. But, I did ask myself if I got reported and somebody came to my door and said, are you the lady who did it? I'd have to say yes. I know that. But I also made sure that I wrote about it to somebody so that I could pull up what happened and the time that it happened, if you know what I mean. Because when I texted, all right, it would have recorded that. So, God, it did scare the life out of me, I must say. Some of you will relate to this one. It's a common delusion that you can make things better by talking about them. Doing something about them. That's what makes the difference, right? I love it. Charlotte, I keep thinking about you walking every single day for 365 days and then some. That takes the most incredible self-discipline. And let me ask you this, Charlotte, which excuses came up the most for you? It's you don't have to, it's bad weather, or what came up for you the most? And how did you overcome that voice? I'm certain we all want to know that. So type away when you get a chance. Um, I always love the quote from Dom DeLuise, if any of you remember him. And he said it took him a long time to find out that denial wasn't a river in Egypt. He was Italian. Denial. Yeah. Um, I always love that as a quote. And this one reminds me of a very dear friend of mine. It says, "No, you don't have to repeat yourself. I was ignoring it the first time." You know who I want to say that one to. Um, yeah, I think the whole thing about life is, some days are just better than others, aren't they? Who said this? Hang on, I got to see who said this. It's in very small print. Mary Carr or Carr said, "When I got sober, I thought giving up was saying goodbye to all the fun and all the sparkle. Just turned out to be the opposite. That's when the sparkle started for me." If any of you have overcome any addiction, um, I didn't know how I was ever going to survive without cigarettes. The amazing thing is how many really traumatic things have happened, and I didn't go to them. I was so pleased. All right, Charlotte saying, "I've been active my entire life. I've always been a very busy person. As an adult, with medication changes and fresh air, and being outside helped. Outside active helped. It was more long-term betterment." Yeah, I'm certain everybody that's hearing this will understand that to go outside for half an hour every day without fail, you're bound to improve your mental health because you have to overcome your excuses to do it. And that's why I wondered what, if any, your excuses were. Let me ask the people who are in here and don't do it every day. What are your, I don't have enough time, I would think comes up quite a bit. Don't feel well enough. Um, what excuses can you come up with? As you think about it, you probably already got the excuses rolling off your head. So let me know. This one was cute. It says, "Roses are red, violets are blue, and vodka costs less than dinner for two." All right, here we go. "You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you." How many of you have had that moment where, you got hit by a 2x4? Somebody, just told you the truth and you went, "Didn't like it, but boy, that changed my life." This one obviously speaks to me this week. "Toxic people make you think you're holding a grudge when you're really holding a boundary." Oh, I need to quote that one. That's so good. This is cute. "My kid is turning out to be exactly like me." Well played, Karma. Well played. All right, so Charlotte's saying the excuses she uses are, um, "I'm tired, I can't do it." But she says, in the long haul, I know that when I don't do it, I feel worse. And that's ingrained now into my life. Well done. It's a habit now. You've done it so many times. Now you don't need to worry about excuses because it's part of your routine, like cleaning your teeth, right? Yeah, Jeannie's saying that her excuse is being unable to walk well has stopped her. Because she's using a cane at the moment. She's got some pain in her hip. Boy, and I know that one. But you could actually just go outside and sit in a chair and breathe in fresh air. And, that would be overcoming, there's nothing that says you have to be active walking. You could be actively doing cross stitch, sitting in a chair, or reading, breathing in fresh air. How about that? Does that change it for you, Jeannie? Yeah, Charlotte's saying it's beyond habit. It's automatically part of the day. Isn't that what habit is, though, Charlotte? You don't think about opening and closing your eyes, right? Well, I don't. I always like that thing that doctor said to me, "How do you sleep?" And I said, I'm glad you asked me that. I think about the same as most people. And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I close my eyes and start snoring." And he said, "It's not what I meant." I said, "Well, what did you mean? You asked me, how do I sleep? I close my eyes." No, how well do you sleep? I said, "Oh, totally different question." And he was not amused. And I said, "Don't blame me if you didn't ask the right question." It's like, you asked me, how do I sleep? Well, I close my eyes. How do you do it? You probably wouldn't want to be my doctor either, right? And when I'm in, and when I get some days, I get worse. You know what I mean? My inner kid, who is very funny, my inner kid really comes out to play some days, and yeah, because they do ask you some stupid questions, doctors, don't you think so? And then they go off on this gobbledygook, blah, 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 and you get, can I have that in English now? It was English. Well, hello. It had really big words in it that I don't understand. So I'd like the dummies version now, please. This is a nice quote. Some of you may relate to this. And this one's for Beth. No matter how bad it gets, I'm always rich at the dollar store. Or in Beth's case, the Dollar General, right? I think that's such a. I must admit that I only learned about dollar stores a few years ago. I'd never been in one, and I went, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh, there's so many things I can make use of in here. And again, for the mums ready for Mother's Day, right? The funny thing about kids is they're the reason we lose it and the reason we hold it together. That's very profound, isn't it? I love that. Behind every great child is a mum who's pretty sure she's screwing it up. I always think as well that I would love to talk to some of the mothers of the kids that dropped out of Harvard, or like Bill Gates. I'd love to talk to his mom, if she's still alive, and go, or his father as well. Go, what went through your mind when he dropped out of Harvard, and how long did you hold that thought? How do you feel about him now? It's just like there were so many incredible success stories of people who, were studying to be a doctor or a lawyer and then just went, oh no, I don't want to do that, and just dropped out and went and did something completely different, became so successful at it. And yet their parents must have just gone insane. How could you possibly drop out of Harvard? You weren't even doing badly. You were top of your class and you dropped out. I mean, hello. Well, guess why? They were way more intelligent than Harvard was. So how many of you are sort of sad that social distancing and working from home is dropping away again? And I'm certain there are going to be an awful lot of people, luckily, I'm retired, so it doesn't apply to me, that are going to regret having to get back in a car and drive to work, when they've been allowed to work from home for so long. And it's just like, I mean? I could have wear, how many people were dressing only from the waist up, and put makeup on? But if you saw from the waist down, they were probably still in their pajamas and fuzzy slippers. you know what I mean? Yeah, I bet you there's some very funny stories about that. I think life is just as funny as you want to make it. And I've had a couple of weeks where it wasn't very funny, to be honest. And that is on me. All right. All right, here you go. For those of you who want to test your memory, try to recall what you were worrying about a year ago today. Right? May the 1st, a year ago. What were you worrying about? Anybody remember? I bet you were worrying. But the question is, I wonder what it was about. And let me ask you this one. What thing were you most worried about, fearful of as a kid, that once you tried it and did it, that you actually enjoyed? Be it, going down a water slide, or, um, what do you call um, hmm, what do they call those things? Where you hold on and go down a wire. Yeah, right. I wonder what it is that you feared so much. Did you jump out of a plane, or bungee jump, and find out that you actually enjoyed it? I personally think that's playing zip line. Thank you, Jody. Um, I call it something different. So, and I'm aware that that's not the right word. Phyllis Diller, wonderful comic from way back when, said the reason women don't play football is because 11 of them would never wear the same outfit in public. I love it. I can remember doing a speech one time, and I had to do the speech at a very upmarket type golf course. That's where the venue was, and it was quite a big gathering. And I walked in, and the person sitting in the front row was wearing exactly the same outfit as I was. And part of me was horrified because I bought this in a boutique where I thought, most of their outfits would be one-offs or two-offs. And here I am wearing exactly the same thing as the woman in the front row. Now, do you think that I'm aware of the fact that she's got the same thing going on? Because this was a very upmarket group of people. And I knew what I paid for my outfit, and so it was so cute. I looked at her, after I got the thing going a bit, I looked at her and I said, I can imagine how you must have felt when you saw me wearing your outfit. Probably the same way that I felt when I saw you wearing mine. And then everybody laughed, and I said, but here's the truth. We both know we got good taste. But it wasn't the truth, right? It was a beautiful outfit. Or the time that I actually made it down to a size 10. I can always remember that. And I went and bought myself the most incredible suit because I made it down to it. It's the one that I could wear on stage and stuff. And it was this beautiful Mondi suit, cost an arm and a leg and three bodies. You could have, given water to half of the third world countries. Anyway, so I only held that size for about a month. I've never seen it again. And I had the most expensive suit to prove it. I ended up giving it away to somebody who was a natural size 10 and said, enjoy it. And I knew that they loved it. So I said, enjoy it. Yeah. I said, I can't believe I got a Mondi suit, Mondi. Because she said I'd never be able to afford one. I said, apparently neither can I. Yeah. One of those moments, right? This is a nice quote, people. Listen to this. It said, the pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. Whereas the realist adjusts the sails. How many of you are busy waiting for things to change instead of just dealing with what is? All right. Waiting for somebody to make you happy instead of realizing it's your job, not somebody else's. Just realizing that we are responsible for our mood, not somebody else. We are responsible for our feelings, not somebody else, right? And so I look at it and go, there are days when I'm really happy to be who I am, and there are days when I wonder how I've made it this far. Some of you might or might not relate to that. Some days I just shake my head and I go, really? And people think you're intelligent. They should see me today. Yeah. How many of you believe that going shopping is cheaper than going to a psychiatrist? And some of you, that's your therapy, right? So here we are. And I look at it and go, coping is something we all have to do. And we are very, very unlikely to have been trained for it. How many of you wish that somebody had taught you how to cope while you was at school? Yeah, really, that, there were some subjects you could have dropped. If you could have just done coping instead, your life would have been so much better. Yeah, rather than algebra or trigonometry or Latin. All right. Just why didn't they give me coping skills? And how many of you going, instead of math, how about finance? In terms of, how to save money and why we should, would have been a lot more helpful to me. And instead of a field trip, to the local butterfly farm, let's go to Italy. Let's learn geography. And I look at all these things and go, yeah, but you know something? I am so lucky. I am so incredibly lucky because I got to travel extensively in my sort of 20s, 30s even. I don't think I started to settle down until I came to Canada. But, it was just like I was so fortunate to see the world and see what poverty looked like. And it's not what we think it is. And to see which people looked rich and they were the ones that were the poorest, and I look at it now and think, yeah, I am so grateful for those times. And I am so in awe how little things, if we choose to be grateful for them, can make us so happy. And I am so aware that we are going to have problems every day of our lives, so we might as well get used to it and learn how to cope. But I do wish that the nuns had had a special segment instead of, well, mind you, at the time, I remember learning how to mend clothes just before people stopped mending things. You know what I mean? It was like now people don't mend. When did you last mend a piece of clothing, people? Right now, people just throw them away and buy a new one. And I'm going, all those hours I spent learning how to mend things, and then nobody did it anymore. But I have the skill, should I ever need it, which are probably coming up again. So, big hug to you all. I hope you had a laugh. I certainly enjoyed it. And I want to say that our lives are as much fun as we want it to be. So let's make it fun. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you, Jody, for being there and looking after me as usual. Thank you for those of you who popped in for a smile. I hope you did smile. And feel free to leave comments below and let me know which was your favorite, even if you can only say the one about so and so. All right, so have a wonderful week. I'll see you on Friday, God willing, and we'll do this all over again. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thanks for being here, and bye bye for now.